Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 111. In this episode, Jenn discusses the subject of wellness in the workplace. I once had a manager who came back from a wellness in the workplace seminar and instituted mandatory laughter yoga Mondays and Wednesdays right after lunch. So what did I do? I got a medical exemption and a prescription from my doctor for a bottle of 16-year-old Lagavulin and instituted my own work wellness program. There's nothing like sipping fine single malt while watching your colleagues looking ridiculous to make a person feel better about having to go to work.
Hey there, it's Jenn here, and welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast. I'm glad you're here with me today and that you're taking the time to do something for you by listening to this podcast. Here at Communication Diva, we work to inspire, to encourage, to empower you to get the job, to love your work, and to advance your career. So thanks for listening. I seem to have been fighting a bug for about a week and a half, and you can maybe relate to this. I don't have time to be sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but who really does have time to be sick? I just really can't, especially this week. I have workshops and speaking events coming up that I need to be in good shape for. I have meetings that I have to chair. I have podcast interviews to conduct. I have church services to preside at. And so I've been working really hard at fighting off whatever this bug is with oil of oregano, which tastes terrible, and with cloves of honeyed garlic, and with turmeric tea, which I quite like, and with loads and loads of vitamin C. And so far I haven't fully succumbed, but I can tell that it's right there. It's just waiting to happen as soon as I stop. And then if I do stop for some reason, wham, it's going to get me, I can tell. So the topic of wellness was on my mind, and I thought we would talk about that today. 7 ways to wellness in the workplace. Wellness in general, and of course how it relates to your work, because being unwell can really affect your work life and your progress in the workplace too. Actually, being unwell will affect absolutely everything. If you don't have your health, you actually don't have much. And that is just so true. So looking after yourself is really, really important. Before we jump right into that, I want to invite you, when you're done listening to this, to please head over to iTunes and leave the Communication Diva podcast a review. I would sincerely appreciate your help in spreading the word about this podcast. Spread it like a virus. You know, I had to go there, right? At any rate, it takes me hours to put these shows together, and they remain absolutely free. So your help in sharing Communication Diva with your friends and colleagues is what I'm asking for. It will just take a moment, and it will be so appreciated because you, the listener, are so appreciated. So thank you for doing that in advance, and I look forward to reading your reviews of this podcast on iTunes. All right, so let's talk about wellness in the workplace, what it means, why it's important, and then I'll share 7 ways to work at getting it so that you can be more effective and productive in your job by being just even a little bit more healthy. So what do we mean when we use the term employee wellness? Well, for some companies, employee wellness means solving problems once they occur, which doesn't seem like a very efficient way to do things. That feels like, what would I call it? Run behind management. I think I just invented a term there, but where managers run around behind their employees trying to fix things as they come up. And that's not very proactive, and it's not very effective, and it's especially not very cost effective in the end, because a healthy workforce means a more productive workforce, means a more efficient workforce, means a less expensive workforce. So why might this be important for you as an employee? Well, working when you're unwell, whether it's in stress or conflict or in jobs that are sedentary where you're stuck at the desk or in front of a screen all day, these all have physical as well as mental health ramifications, and over time can lead to things like physical illness, burnout, and all sorts of unfortunate, unhappy results, depression, anxiety attacks, all sorts of things. And an unhappy employee, again, I said this just a few minutes ago, is not an effective one. A sedentary employee, one that sits at a desk all day or sits in a particular position all day, doesn't move a whole lot. According to Australian researchers and a study that was published in the British Medical Journal, that being that way can even shorten your lifespan. So the tagline for Communication Diva is get the job, love your work, and advance your career. And so what I'm focusing on today is the love your work part, because the love your work part can't happen unless you are well, and probably the rest can't either. So wellness is really, really important, and it's up to you as an employee to take that on. Yes, your boss, your companies might offer different programs, and we'll talk about taking advantage of those, but in the end, it comes down to you taking responsibility and looking after your own health and well-being as much as you possibly can. I have also heard that one of the many wonderful things that millennials in the workplace have brought about is more focus on wellness in general. Gyms or access to gyms, fitness passes, that kind of thing. More balance to the work schedule, more flexibility with options of telecommuting, working from home one day a week or one day a month, that kind of thing. Those are all things that millennials have brought about because millennials have no problem looking for work situations elsewhere that have more to offer in these areas. And so employers have had to step up their game a little bit, which benefits all of us. It benefits all of us to have these opportunities and these sort of more holistic approaches to looking after your employee. So I think that's one of the many great things that millennials bring to the workforce. So being well at work is worth it for so many reasons, and truly your life can depend on it. And I've been reading up on this, of course, doing research for this episode and taking a look at a lot of the articles that are out there and a lot of the studies that have been done. And there are so many topics that could be delved into more deeply around this. And right now also I'm recording this towards the end of January 2017. And January is when people start to think a little bit more about health. We've gone through some of the holiday seasons. We've eaten lots of food. It's winter, which at least in this part of the world is often the time where people stay inside. And so wellness topics always are front and center at this time of year on magazine covers, in blog articles, all over the place. There are fitness programs. People are encouraged to get busy and get moving and get rid of some of that excess that has accumulated in the fall time. I also noticed the gym was really quite quiet towards December, very quiet. And it was actually really quiet at the beginning of January. But now when I go, it's pretty full. So the people, this is the time of year that people have thought, okay, enough is enough. It's time to get back to it, or it's time to fulfill our resolutions or whatever. Let's get going and let's get moving. So being fit is important. But what I'm talking about here is not what you do after work. What I'm talking about in this podcast is what you can do at work during your work day or work evening or work whatever time of day or night that you work. What are some things that you can do to improve your wellness for yourself at work? So let's take a look at 7 things that you can do to be more generally well. The first one is to pack your own lunch. Now, eating out or grabbing a vending machine offering or something from the lobby coffee shop or the donut shop across the street or whatever might feel convenient, but chances are it's not a very healthy choice. If you're able to spend an hour or two on the weekend, maybe on Sunday, each week, chopping veggies, making soups, preparing ingredients, cooking up some quinoa or some couscous or something, and preparing things that you can then later in the week grab quickly and throw together into a healthier lunch, it will be just as fast and far less expensive to do that for yourself and to be able to take things with you to work. So you can freeze small lunch-sized containers of soups and stews and things that can be reheated. You can throw a salad together into a mason jar for easy transportation. You can add fresh fruit or yogurt. You can fill up a reusable water bottle. And even if you just do that a few days a week, if you're used to eating out every day, even if you just do that a few days a week, it will make a big difference. It'll make a difference to your bank account, and it'll make a big difference to the fuel that you're feeding your body. There is more and more information coming out about your gut and your digestive system. I just read a book recently. I can't remember the name of the author, but the book is called Gut, and it was very funny, very quick read, and it was fascinating about the microbiome that is your digestive system, and that if we feed that with nutrition, the rest of the body is really actually good at healing itself. So if you're not giving your body the right kind of fuel and you're not giving the cells the ingredients that they need to be able to heal the rest of the body, then that's it's really, really challenging. And that's where problems occur. So actually feeding the body the healthy nutrients that it craves so that it can do its job to keep you healthy and well, we're really doing ourselves a big disservice, even though that cafeteria food is so good. I was doing a presentation in the afternoon. It started at 1:00 yesterday in a workplace, and I was presenting a workshop on conflict and communication to a group of managers. And we were in a dozen people or so in a very tiny room. And several of the people had gotten takeout for their lunch. And did it smell good? I was standing there thinking, oh, your lunch smells amazing. But I did notice that several of them were eating takeout food. And I thought, I guess it's quick. I guess it's convenient. It's more expensive, and it's probably not as healthy as it could be if you packed your own. So think about that. Even if you try it 1 day a week or 2 days a week, if you're used to eating out a lot, it's always nice to go out with colleagues and have lunch once in a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to try and up your game a little bit in the health and wellness area, it's a good idea to try doing that. It becomes going out for lunch with your colleagues, or even just grabbing something from the coffee cart, ends up becoming a treat instead of a habit if you're used to bringing your own lunch. So that's number one. Number two is get moving. Studies have shown that sitting still for long periods of time actually affects your lifespan and can increase the risk of things like heart disease and other diseases. And so the standing desk you've probably heard about is a great idea. We actually have one right where I'm sitting right now in our home office, and it comes with a timer window that on the desktop that alerts us when it's time to sit and when it's time to stand. And you can set that for every 15 minutes or whatever setting you like, so that you can change your position a little bit, because it's so easy to sit down at the computer and 3 hours later not have moved. And I find that I get all stiffened up if I do that, and it's really, really not good. So try, if you can, if your workplace will allow for standing desks, but even try just standing up more often and walking around. If you have to talk on the phone, stand up perhaps and see if that makes a little bit of a difference. Try taking the stairs instead of the elevator, and if you're way up on a high floor, even just take the last two, get off a couple of floors early and walk up the last two flights. So try doing that, even for a couple of floors. If you have to have a meeting and it's a nice day outside, ask if you can have a walking meeting instead of sitting around a boardroom table. Maybe you can go to a park across the street, or you can walk around the block with people, but get outside, get some fresh air, get some movement going on. And I would imagine that the creativity and the ideas would flow a little better too. Many companies are offering incentives like fitness wearables, so things like pedometers or Fitbits or other devices that help to track your daily movement. And people have competitions around those. Sometimes there are incentive prizes, and this can be a great way to encourage yourself, be encouraged to get moving a little bit more. Park farther away from the entrance to your building if you have, so that you have to walk a little bit. If you're in the lucky situation where your company has a gym, hop on a bike or a treadmill or an elliptical machine or something during your lunch break for 20 minutes or half an hour and catch up on your reading or your latest favorite podcast episode. So get moving. It's really important. And I'm not talking about, going to the gym after work or before work, which is fabulous, but I'm talking about getting moving during your workday. How can you be more well during your workday? Number 3 is to learn more. Many organizations have educational components in their employee wellness programs, and you might not have diabetes yourself or struggle with depression, but chances are, if you don't, then you know someone who does. So taking in these educational opportunities, the lunch and learn offerings, can open you up to new understandings around health topics and inspire you to improve your own health situation. I love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. And to have someone else teach you a little bit about something that can spark something in you that then becomes a resolve. Then you say, wow, I'm gonna do this from now on, or I'm gonna skip that from now on and improve my own situation a little bit. So take advantage of learning that happens sometimes in the workplaces that you are offered. If they don't have such a thing, maybe you can suggest it. Maybe you can ask for someone to come in and talk about something that several of your colleagues and yourself that you would benefit from. So find out. Maybe they would be open to bringing something in for you, which would be great. Go into the light is number 4. That sounds kind of ominous, but some of us suffer from SAD or seasonal affective disorder when the light levels are low, especially when the light levels are low outside. And I know that I feel less energetic and motivated when it's gray and rainy out, which happens an awful lot in Vancouver, I must say. I find I often work more efficiently if I'm sitting near a window, even if it isn't sunny and bright out. Natural light can help a lot, and if you're able to be near a window, take advantage of that. Take a breath and look out on occasion. Look up from the device that you're looking at and take a look outside. Just stand there and watch the world outside for a little bit. If you're not near a window, you might consider what lighting that you are working by and see if you can improve that. Maybe you're struggling or straining a little bit because you aren't sitting in an area that is well lit. Sometimes I know you can get really tired from the overhead lights. I know I do if I'm in an office setting with fluorescent lights and I have to be in that setting for too long. Sometimes I ask if I can turn the lights down. And that seems counterintuitive to what I'm saying, but if there's natural light coming in from a window, I'd much rather have that than overhead fluorescent lights, which seem to suck the energy out of me. I don't know. When I haven't been near a window, I've used my breaks to go get near a window, and if I can't get near a window, I go right outside and get some of that light, get some of that vitamin D, right? Because the only way we can get the vitamin D is from the sunshine. And I've also read articles about how deficient we are in vitamin D, at least in this part of the world. So that was number 4, get some light. Number 5 is get some sleep. Now, this is a hard one for me. I don't often sleep well, and sleep is typically what gets compromised or cut short if I have too many things that need doing. Sleep, I'll stay up late or I'll get up really early so that I can add more things, more hours into my day to get things done. And sleep is really important. And lack of sleep, chronic sleep deprivation, can cause you to function like you're impaired, actually. It's almost comparable with driving. If you're driving sleep deprived, it's almost comparable with driving as though you've had too many alcoholic drinks. So it's hard though, because it's really hard to develop good sleep habits. It's hard for me anyway. And I am going to be interviewing someone in the near future who is working on learning as much as he can about this topic. So I'd like to bring you that person in the next few weeks if I can. But sleep, if you can figure out a way to get more sleep, is very, very important to how you function in the workplace. And one of the things that you can try if nighttime sleeping isn't working is try napping. If you need to, take a power nap during a break in a staff lounge. I used to do this when my kids were little and I worked at the hospital. I would get really, really good. I got really, really good at the 20-minute power nap. So I would set an alarm, I would find a couch or a sofa or a chair in the staff room, and I would have my healthy snack, and then boom, I would drop right to sleep for 15 or 20 minutes. And I would wake up refreshed and ready to go back to work. And it was amazing how this little habit developed. And it was fantastic because that was how I managed with the very early wake-ups, getting kids ready for school, rushing off to work. And I think my shifts began early. They either started at 7 or 7:30 a.m. So there was a lot to do to get there. So the 15 or 20 minute nap in the middle of the day, I can't remember if it was in the afternoon or when it was, but wow, that was what sort of kept me sane during that time. Napping was the only way I managed. And now I try to do things recommended for good sleep, but again, I still struggle with that. And I'm hoping to bring you this guest in the near future to talk more about sleep habits. Number 6, remember to hydrate. I've been facilitating some workshops lately, and I've been in different workplaces, and I've noticed a number of workplace kitchenette areas that have those single-serve coffee and tea machines. Now, I'm not a fan of these for environmental reasons. I think they're a terrible invention for the planet, and I feel frustrated that I can't find a normal tea bag and a kettle anymore, it seems. It's all the plastic containers, and people say, oh, they're recyclable, but they really are not. And they might be, but they're still filling up the landfills. People aren't recycling them in many cases, and there are too many of them for the recycling companies to manage. So I find I'm really not happy. And when I go into these places and I see them, I actually say, no, I'd rather just have water and hope to heck they have tap water. But that's my little soapbox. So I am not a fan of those things. But anyway, hydration is not coffee and caffeinated tea anyway. So I love my coffee. I'll have a coffee in the morning made in a proper coffee pot. And I try to carry the reusable water cup or bottle with me everywhere I go now. So it's a good idea. Now, in case you might be a fan of these machines, coffee is not a great way to keep hydrated. It's fine to have coffee in the morning and that occasional coffee throughout the day, but make sure you're drinking water as well, or herbal tea that has water, that is not a diuretic or a dehydrating substance, no caffeine in it. Skip the soda, or as we say in Canada, the pop, and skip the sugary juice drinks and go for the healthier options. So ice water, fresh water, something like that, herbal tea, something that will keep your cells hydrated so that you don't get headaches and so that you can function And it's healthier. It's a lot healthier. The bonus to being really well hydrated is you get more bathroom breaks, which gets you up and moving. So there you go. So remember to hydrate. And I'm not sure anymore if the science is still 8 glasses of water a day, if that's still recommended. It might be more, it might be less, I don't know. But I don't drink nearly that much, 8 glasses of water a day, I don't think. And I think it's hard to be drinking that much, but it's still something to aim for. So see how you do, and remember to keep hydrated. The last one, number 7, I have is to have some fun. Work doesn't need to be all drudgery. Celebrations and staff parties and even just a good laugh with your colleagues at some point in the day is good for you. One of my fondest memories of working in the palliative care unit, which is mostly not a place for celebrations and laughter, although it happens. One of my fondest memories was an after Christmas party. People decided that it was too busy during the Christmas season to have a Christmas party and that we would defer it until later in January. So there was a big Christmas party in January held in one of the nurses' homes, and it happened that a snowstorm happened. And it was a Hawaiian-themed party. It was really mixed up. It was a Christmas party after Christmas in the middle of a snowstorm, and it was a Hawaiian party. So people were dressed in grass skirts and wild floral colors, and there were the floral leis everywhere and Hawaiian music, and it was, fancy Hawaiian type drinks, mixed drinks, and it was a lot of fun. Well, my car got stuck in the snowbank and I couldn't move. I was trying to park it to go in, and I couldn't get the car turned around to get it into the spot where I needed to park. So I went knocking on the door, and the whole bunch of nurses came out with their boots on in their grass skirts and their crazy flowers in their hair. And my funniest memory is of having 3 nurses dressed the way they were dressed, trying to push my car out of this stuck snow. And I thought, oh, they were giggling and they were laughing hysterically. And I thought, I'm sure the neighbors were wondering, what is going on out there? Anyway, that was such a lot of fun. And I have to say, nurses know how to have a good time. So if you know a nurse or you are a nurse, you can probably agree. There are many, many opportunities for fun and celebration and friendship. And the hospital is often a difficult place to work. So it was really good to let off some of that tension and that steam and that sadness of things that happen to people in the hospital by laughing. It's good for the soul, in what's often a difficult, stressful, and sad working environment. So those are the 7 things. Let's just do a quick review before I wrap up here. Get some nutrition into you. Pack your own lunch and try to plan so that you aren't stuck buying food all the time. Get active, move more, and find ways to incorporate movement into your day. Learn as much as you can about health and wellness topics, mental health included, and more offices are offering opportunities to learn. So take advantage of those and stretch your brain a little bit. You might get inspired. Get some light, natural light if you can, into your workspace. And if you can't, go outside or stand near a window and just soak it in, even just for a few minutes. Get some sleep, take a nap. Your lifespan depends on it. Drink your H2O and keep hydrated. And find cause to celebrate and enjoy yourself a little. Retirement parties, baby showers, wedding celebrations, even staff potluck lunch parties can boost the mood and get you trying different kinds of foods and new recipes. And it can get you sharing recipes and enjoying your colleagues a little bit more. Because again, work isn't supposed to be all drudgery. It can actually be fun and rewarding. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you looked forward to going to work every day because of the enjoyment that you were having and the fun that you were having? So if you're feeling good in your body and in your being, you will be a happier and healthier employee. So that's my offering for today. Please please share this episode. And please, again, I'm asking you to leave a review in iTunes. It won't take more than just a few minutes to do that. And I would truly appreciate if you would do that for me. So until next time, this is Jenn Swanson. Thank you for listening to the Communication Diva podcast, and be well.